Inviting you all to call a friend, tell a friend, friends of your friends, friends of your enemies, enemies of your friends, and your enemies too. Because the vibe is for everybody to share. You'd have to keep it to yourself. Don't be stingy with it. I want to say a quick thank you to my sponsors. Chioli Fitness. Changing your lifestyle will change your life. Give Althea SU a call. 954-655-9000. Talk to her about your personal training needs. And if you want a good masseuse, she's also a certified personal trainer. Oh, sorry, she's also a licensed massage therapist. See, that's what happens when you do it the other way around in the week, you know? Chioli Fitness. 954-655-9000. And thank you to McNeil Trucking. With McNeil Trucking, your goods are in good hands. Licensed and insured movers in the state of Florida. Give them a call, 954-406-9740. Want to move some stuff from point A to point B, put some things in storage. Don't have the manpower or transportation or the equipment? No worries, you have the name and the number. McNeil Trucking, 954-406-9740. Tell them Kevin Stew sent you. And thank you very much to Reggae Global Entertainment. If you don't know yet, Reggae Global will act as your booking agents, handle your tour management, take care of your business registration, legal service referrals, marketing and promotion, music production, and more. Go ahead and give them a call, 954-804-8199. Or check them out online at reggaeglobal.com. Tell them Kevin Steele sent you.
Your powerful faith, yes. Give us strength so we can love each other.
So let me see if I can hear my secret ingredient. Secret ingredient.
Is all we need.
Are you there?
Be free,
you're muted though.
Cleanse our souls and wash us clean so that we can come live with the Almighty Father.
Oh, no, I muted you. My bad. See, that's what happens when you have multiple channels working with them.
I'm glad it was you and not me.
Jaja would need you in these times, boy. Ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, I present to you my secret ingredient for the evening. First time on as a secret ingredient, but not the first time on Reggae Global Radio. So those of you who have never seen her face before, other than pictures, now you get to see her live and in living color. Call your friends, tell your friends, friends of your friends, friends of your enemies, enemies of your friends. Call everybody because you need to catch this one. This lady here is so talented, it will blow your mind. And no, it's not Joanna Marie. So, without further ado, I present to you our secret ingredient for the day, Sista Irie. Sista Irie, how are you?
I'm pretty good considering how hot Texas is.
Yo, listen, I don't envy you guys at all. Not at all. My sister lives in Texas. She's in Dallas, actually. And
yeah.
I'm like, y'all talking about South Florida hot and whatever else? Bump that.
No, you would go to Jamaica to cool off.
Yes. And people don't get it.
Mm-hmm. I've lived for 30 years. I've never, ever felt the intensity of the heat. You go outside and you feel like you're literally in a hot oven.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Yeah, that is crazy. Happy Independence, Hubert. How you enjoying your independence, bro? I hope you're celebrating for all of us. Sister Irie, you're not quite Jamaican, but you're very much Jamaican.
Thank you.
So happy
right
Independence
now, I'd rather
to you
be
too.
anything but American. And I do have a home in Jamaica, so right now I'll just be Jamaican.
That's right. That's right. For those that don't know who Sister Irie is and what you do, give us a brief overview.
It's hard to be brief, but my trod into reggae began in the late 70s when I started traveling to Jamaica before it was a tourist destination.
Yes.
And I was sort of an adventure traveler. And I was I guess people called me a hippie in those days, but really it was the way that counterculture of America embraced the Rastafari culture when we went to Jamaica
Yes.
that brought those two segments of social activism together. So that included, you have to realize that at that time, there was the civil rights movement, the women's rights movement, and the Vietnam War. And those Americans like myself who were social activists were actively working towards reversing or becoming a part of those movements. And so when I went to Jamaica in 1976 and was able to actually communicate with authentic Rastafarians who are now the elders in the community, I was able to embrace what I was hearing in the music.
A lot of people don't get to have that experience the way you describe it. Having had that, how do you know, or have you, over the last call it 40 years, shared and communicated that with those that are only thing they know about Jamaica is ganja and reggae music, and now both?
Oh, goodness. Well, I actually married a Jamaican in 1990. He was a fisherman, and he was a well-respected fisherman in Westmoreland, and we were married for 25 years. He passed away about 6 years ago. So between
Condolences.
traveling every year to Jamaica and then becoming a reggae radio DJ in the United States on a Black community radio station starting in 1986, I was struggling actually to bring reggae to the African American community, who really didn't want very much to do with it. So it was a study with my husband, who helped me figure out how to bring African Americans and Caribbean culture together without seeming like I was patronizing because I was a white person. So
Right,
there was a lot of things at play there. And I was on that radio station for 36 years. I just recently moved over to Reggae Global Radio.
Yes,
And
yes.
I happily say that we did grow the African American community into the reggae scene. And a lot of it had to do with the embedding or meshing of music, such as Afro beats with reggae or hip hop with reggae. And a good radio DJ on a Black station can start blending roots reggae with those other styles and
Yes.
start attracting an audience.
Yes, yes. I tell people all the time, this is a Saturday stew for a reason. You never quite know what is going to be tossed into the mix of ingredients to give you that final product.
I'm also, the other pieces of my work in reggae is as a photojournalist. I have covered reggae festivals all over the world. The biggest one, which is Rototom, I'm leaving for that in a week. And also the big festivals in Jamaica and many of them in the United States, some in Canada. And my real love is capturing the emotion of an artist on stage. So my different photographers, and I'm friends with almost all of them, have a different niche in that photography scene. But for me, it's to capture that emotion. So I was blending being a radio DJ with a photojournalist And most recently, or 6 years ago, my business partner, Lloyd Stanbury, who's an entertainment attorney from
Yes.
Jamaica, we started an arts agency to promote especially rising artists. So we do a lot of publicity.
Right. Which is works very well with Reggae Global,
Mm-hmm.
considering that a part of the services of Reggae Global Entertainment includes
Yes.
marketing and promotion and
Mm-hmm.
the business of music and the business overall. And with colleagues like Lloyd,
Mm-hmm.
we have quite the reach, we have quite the resource pool. One of the things that really, although I am a part of it, looking, standing outside, looking in, one of the things I can truly appreciate love about Reggae Global's diversity is people like you coming into
Mm-hmm.
the family. One, not from Jamaica. You were
Mm-hmm.
introduced to the culture. You fell in love with the culture. And then you took the time to learn the culture to the point where you can share said culture with those that you originally associate with.
Indeed, I have immersed myself as deeply as a non-Jamaican can into observing, learning, feeling, associating, um, in imbibing all the arts of Jamaica, all
Yes.
the beauty of Jamaica. And as a photographer, you're looking at everything. So I
Mm-hmm.
have ears, I have eyes, I have a brain, and
Yes.
you just, bring all that together into this most. First of all, I want to give thanks to Reggae Global because I am very happy and honored to be on that radio platform.
Mm-hmm.
I'm more comfortable there than I've ever been. I think the family is incredible, and I look up to all the other DJs on the station because I can learn from them.
Awesome. We love having you. I can tell you that
Oh, thank you.
without reservation. We love having you. Just so that you know, Francine says big ups to you. Um,
Mwah.
and that's Francine Bacchus Mambi.
Hmm.
To be clear, which one? Big up, Jadan.
Yeah,
Much love, bro. And
yeah.
and so and much love to you guys down there in Brazil, Radio Crystal Gospel, locking in. Dora, much love to you. As a photojournalist, um, what 30 years now? You said.
I haven't counted them, but I would say that's about right.
So we're talking about a lot of festivals here.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I have a list and I decided not to go through the list, but if you were to ask me what was the most exciting festival, the most professional one is Rototom Sunsplash in Spain, the one
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to in a week. It's an
Right.
8-day, 7 or 8 day festival with some of the biggest artists in reggae. And there's 7 or 8 stages, and there's an African stage and a children's. It has everything. It's
Yeah.
like the city of reggae.
Right.
My most exciting festival was Buju Banton's Long Walk to Freedom,
Mm.
where I was honored to have in the media pit. I mean, my heart was just the excitement of Buju coming home,
Yes.
and it was in the National Stadium,
Right.
which was packed to the hilt.
Yeah.
And before he
Overflowing.
came on, oh my God! As the music began, and you knew he was about to walk on stage, and I've got my camera. This is the hard part of being a photojournalist: is part of you wants to just stand there in awe, and the other
Yes.
part of you is like, I've got to capture this.
Yes.
But that was one of the most amazing nights that I've ever had.
Emotionally speaking, what would have been your most emotional experience as a photojournalist in capturing, working at some of these festivals?
There's something special about all of them
Mm-hmm.
that becomes ingrained in my heart and my mind. I started going to Rebel Salute when it was out in the country.
Yeah.
And it was like you had to drive a couple hours to get there, and it was totally grassroots.
Yes.
That was special. But I've also, when you talk about emotions, that covers a lot of different kinds of feelings because emotions are so varied.
Yes.
I guess I really can't come up with one off the top of my head because maybe the most emotional one was the Buju show. But I have been to Sunsplash, Rebel Salute, Austin Reggae Fest, Toronto Rasta Fest, all the California festivals, or many of them, and Rototom and Summer Jam in Germany. I always find sometimes the diversity, like at Rototom and Summer Jam,
Yes.
being amongst a crowd of people that don't speak English, and yet you've got Jamaican artists on stage who I know personally exhibiting their talents.
Yes.
And I'm part of this stew of things going on. It's really it's such a high.
When you look at artists from the festivals that many of us have never heard of, in places that many have not been, and they are doing reggae music. Some of them not too strong on English, but doing reggae music.
Yes.
What kind of feeling does that bring to you? And how do you convey that through your photojournalism and even your broadcast?
Yes, well, I take the pictures and I write. When I write, it's all about emotion. Everything in my writing, it's not your typical, they played this, they wore that, they came on stage with these backup singers. It's about the emotion that was felt by the crowd, the emotion of the artist, and that connection between the artist and the crowd and myself. Because as I look through a camera, I'm receiving those vibrations. So I would say that it's easy for me to speak from the heart. It's interesting because I know a lot of people in the industry that are very pragmatic, black and white, everything is literal. And I'm more the artist type of personality that feeds off of vibration. You can see it if you go to Sista Irie photography on Instagram. There is a sliver of my photos there.
Just a sliver.
Well, it really is just a sliver.
how as someone who has stood behind a camera before, mostly video cameras, so I have it a little bit easier than you, because sometimes getting that right angle and capturing that right moment is like you need quick fingers, or you need to change the shutter speed so that you can capture these consecutive moments. I, on the other hand, I just point my camera, hit record, and
Yeah.
or if I'm streaming, make sure that connection is going through, and I'm good. Just point, zoom, angle, whatever.
They both
How
have
do
their
you?
value. What I would say is when you're a photographer, you have to project what's going to happen next.
Yes.
So you're standing there with your camera and you've watched this artist many times. You may know just about when they're going to make certain kinds of moves, or you may not. But you have to be thinking what's going to happen in the next 5 seconds and be ready to capture that and hope that that's what happens.
That part.
Intuition.
Listen, is there such a thing to not have when dealing with photography? You're capturing some moments that are just these are moments in time that cannot be replayed. You have frozen this moment. And yeah, anybody can point a camera.
Well, you can see one right behind me. Can you see the The
Yes.
picture right behind me? All right,
Yes.
that's one of my photographs. And that's Big Youth.
Yes.
And so I'm leaning back and forth. You can see in that picture, that moment probably only happened that very second.
Yes.
Because I've seen a lot of photographs of Big Youth and a lot of great photographs of him, but I captured that one. And so to a photographer, it's like, I guess it's like a fisherman that catches the big fish. You get that special moment. And sometimes you don't know until you get home and download your photos.
Yes.
And all of a sudden you go, oh, wow, I couldn't tell from the little lens finder that that's what was there.
Yeah. Yeah.
Surprise.
When you went through your photos and saw that one, let's talk about that one since you brought it up. When you went through and you saw that one, is it that you were looking at a series of them that led up and past that one and you just picked out that one? Or did that one just happen and when you were going back through, you caught it?
I'm so glad you asked that question, because now I can tell you my biggest beef is that these festivals now are only allowing you, in many cases, to photograph the first 3 songs. So you're out there just shooting as fast as you can, and the artist isn't even warmed up, because we all know that the best movements, they're most into it at the end of their set, not the first 3 songs. I hate that word shot, but I photographed Stephen Marley not so long ago. In the first 3 songs, he was just sitting behind conga drums with almost no expression, and he was doing a great thing, but
Yeah.
that's not so great for photography. So I have asked this question for years. Why does that, it seems like old school thinking when you've got, 20,000 iPhones behind you shooting
That.
pictures and doing
Yes.
video, and yet you're a professional and you're not even going to put something out there that isn't great, and
Right.
yet they're going to handicap you, and sometimes they're actually very rude about getting you out of the photo pit. And I can never tell if it's an artist request or a festival request, because some of the artists that I was only allowed to shoot the first 3 songs, I have seen at other festivals you could shoot the whole set. This is very true with the Marleys. And I had to sign a contract to take pictures of the Marleys, and I was only allowed, well, this was with Ziggy, I was only allowed the first 3 songs, even after signing a contract.
Wow. So,
And to use those pictures, I have to have permission anytime I want to use the pictures. I have to get their permission to, and I don't sell anything. It's
Right.
not like I'm making money.
right.
These are artworks. So, personal statements. So I'm not blaming anybody, and I happen to love the Marleys, and I'm so grateful for them. But I don't understand where the lines are drawn. Festival versus artist versus photographer. And it seems like festivals these days just hire their own crew, and they're not really allowing that many freelance photographers in the photo pit.
Got you. But you can just go into the audience and capture some of these same shots. Well, with the right equipment, if you have it, or if you can get close enough to the front.
Yeah, that's a problem, because when you've got a great, like a headliner on stage, you can't get to the front.
Well,
And in
yeah.
fact, at Rototom, it's impossible. But, it's very challenging if you're not in the photo pit, because people are bumping into you. They've got beer bottles. They've got, lit, whatever
Yeah.
it is. I've been burned I don't know how many times.
Oh, wow.
It's not a comfortable thing. And right now, I don't want to be in the crowd unless I'm wearing a mask. And even
Yeah.
with a mask, I'm not so sure that I
Yeah.
feel good about it.
When you mentioned getting out there and being restricted as one of your peeves, I know from my personal interactions with you that you have a few peeves. There yeah, there are a few things that you'd really want to address.
Okay.
And I want to even say go out on a limb here and ask you what are some of the issues that you have seen as you have gone through visiting these festivals, as you have paid attention to what happens in the entertainment industry, in reggae music. What are some of the things that when you see it or hear about it, it just makes you turn beet red?
I don't have a tendency of turning beet red, and usually I don't complain till I get home. But I think the part that's difficult for me is the way reggae music has always been fragmented.
Mm,
And a lot of festivals try to cover all those fragments. And I don't know that that always works. So my pet peeves are more about the business analysis of how things go down versus the talent or the festival itself. So if you know some of my pet peeves, go ahead and throw one out at me.
women in the industry.
Oh, yeah. Okay, thank you for that. It's been a beautiful, beautiful thing to watch the women blossom in the industry in the last maybe 10 years. And I want to give a lot of props to some male artists such as Protege and Chronix and some others, in particular Protege, who has brought in female singers who are risen to a very high level, such as Lila Ike, Savannah, Jazz Elise. And I've watched these women get this opportunity to go from being backup singers to being frontline singers. Twiggy is another one. And so it's like unleashing. Women have always been made to feel like they have to do everything the way a man tells them to do it.
Yes.
And some men get very upset if you don't do things the way they tell you to do it. But my feeling is that we're all equal human beings and we all have different experiences and different brains. And women in the music industry need to be free to express themselves the way they want to.
Yes.
Now, excuse me, that's my dog. My Jamaican dog is here barking at me. Sit down, please.
I think you need
I
to say
brought
it
him.
right. You need to go sit down.
Yeah, go sit down, Regs. So I want to see where this goes. I think that Marcia Griffiths and, of course, the I3s opened the door for women after Bob died and they began recording solo.
Yeah.
But it's been a long process, and there's a lot of behind the scenes, what would the word be? Unethical practices for women to get where they want to be.
Yes.
And I've heard this from everybody, from every woman I've spoken to that is a part of the industry, as the talent of the industry. That has to stop. It's just, and maybe it has, but it's disgusting and it's so disrespectful to women. You follow my drift?
Yes.
Okay.
Have you had occasion to have to call anyone out on any such action? Because again, you've been in the industry for a long time, so you know some of these artists. So you know some of the whispers, you've heard some of the whispers. You've had occasion to even confront one or two. Have you had any such encounters? Not calling any names, but have you had to address any of this?
Not really. I try to lay low in the industry, and I try to reveal what I'm thinking through my writing. And I haven't really addressed the women in reggae issues. Lloyd did in his book called Reggae Roadblocks. There's a whole chapter by women of what they have encountered by trying to be artists in the industry. And they were pretty frank and open with him. Some of them they don't want it out in public. And so it's the same thing for women that are being abused in the United States that aren't artists. Just women in general are afraid to make too much of what's happening to them because they don't know what the retribution will be, and they don't want to risk their careers over it.
So the women that actually have come out and said something about what they have faced in the industry already, do you think that they're getting the support that they should get, considering all that we know is happening behind the scenes?
I don't know the answer to that, but I hear less about it, and I see more women rising to the top. So that wasn't happening in the past. Women remained as backup singers, or occasionally got to sing a few solos before the featured act came on. I think that's changing, and I do think that what was called the reggae revival,
Yes.
with women like Janine and Kalissa and some of those other great singers, are very strong women. And Janine will tell you right out in her music what's going on. And she's got songs out there that lay it right out there.
Yes.
And for those people who really believe in the message in the music, for me, it's like church. I hear what they're saying, and I feel what they're saying, and I try to do what I can, mainly through the radio, to help turn that around.
When you put on your DJ hat and you hit play and you start that intro music, you get into that broadcast, do you prefer to let the music tell your give your message, or use the music to support the message that you're conveying at the time?
And I thank you for that question also. Having started out on a black radio station, it didn't make sense for me to be educating the audience. So I relied strongly on the music itself and interviews that I do with artists to let them talk about it. I will, when I don't have an interview on my show, I will get little educational things about the artists, like they won this award, or their first album was this, or when we're talking about Afro beats, I'll mention what country they're from, just little educational bits. And then occasionally I'll throw in something personal about my own feelings regarding social issues that are unfair, such as Black Lives Matter and police brutality.
Yes.
Those kinds of things. But I make it very short. I don't belabor it. And then I go from one song to the other. So it might be a 15 to 30-second statement between songs.
You're not like me, you see. That's why I do a music broadcast separate and apart from a talk show. Because on my talk show, I'm laying it all out.
Yeah.
You know, so
I think that's awesome.
yeah, so we can have an opportunity for you to lay it all out when you come sit with me. Whenever we can make that happen, where you can, go all in and address some of the issues that you see out there, not just in the music industry, but even as women in any industry, because it goes across the board. And there has been this battle of the sexes for just about forever. And, a man's place is here, a woman's place is there. We understand that there are some things that men can't do, as well as there are some things that women can't do. Just is.
Yeah.
And it's fine. We don't have to question it. We don't have to argue about it. Nothing like that. We just work with it. The problem is just with us working together. And I don't know if it is an going back to my motto, having acceptance through enlightenment thing. So they can't accept that they can do, one can't accept that the other can do something, because they just don't know that they can actually do it.
Or they can do it their way and
Yeah.
have the same outcome. So where I learned more about this is I was executive director of the American Cancer Society National Cancer Information Center.
Mm,
So we took calls from all over the country of people that were diagnosed with cancer,
right.
and many of them were terminal, and there were caregivers. And what I learned in my leadership training is there's many ways to get to the same end. And so when you're talking to somebody, especially someone who might be dying or is afraid of dying, you have to be able to give and take to
Mm,
figure out what is the best way to share information and still give them the empowerment to get to that end place on their own through their
mm,
own
yeah.
decision making.
You talk about leadership training. Before I let you go, you talk about leadership training. When you take some of what you have learned, how long were you in a leadership role in corporate America?
Well, with the American Cancer Society, it was 13 years. And before that, I was the manager of a radio station. Or right after that, I was the manager of a radio station for a couple of years. And then
Mm,
I had an executive position with a chain of retail stores that were outdoor mountaineering stores
right, right,
before that. So I had a lot of leadership roles before I retired and embraced what I'm doing today.
right. So, how do you take that to be more influential in your industry? How do you apply some of that knowledge?
It's interpersonal skills, basically,
Mm,
is understanding who the other person is, what makes them think the way they do, and then helping them uh, meet the mission. So all the businesses I've worked for, including the radio station, has a mission.
right.
And instead of it being a tug of war between you think this and I think that, it's getting people to see that what's important is in this
End
case, the
result.
mission.
Yeah.
And how does it impact the community? I work on the station that I'm on the board of directors is a nonprofit
Hmm.
radio station, community radio.
Right.
So our goal is to entertain and educate the African American community and to be the voice of the underserved, because a lot of things are not on traditional radio that are very helpful resources. And just I'm not Black, so obviously I don't know Black culture like a Black person does.
Hmm.
But to bring people in and get them together and sharing those perspectives, and because I was there for so long, I began to see where I needed to change my way of doing things in order for it to be effective.
That is that an ongoing transition for you?
Absolutely. As long as I live, I need to, I'm a very much sort of into the psychology of people and how to use that to help them,
Hmm.
which ultimately helps me.
Yeah. You see, this is why you and I get along so well, and and have ever since the first time we spoke. Um, but this is pretty much a teaser and a little bit of get to know Sister Irie. Because again, like I said at the beginning, a lot of people have heard the name Sister Irie, but don't really know the person behind the name. And some of them have seen the work, but don't know what it is that you have gone through to get some of that work done. And you sharing just a little bit of that with us tonight, I thank you. I thank
Well,
you.
Kevin, let me say that without you, I wouldn't be on Reggae Global Radio. And I owe you everything for that. And that is such a great turning point in my life.
You're
Joanna
welcome.
and Ed and Marlon, all the people associated, Melly with the
Yes.
station, are leading me down another path. And I'm learning a whole nother way of the things that I love to do.
Hmm.
I'm learning a whole other way of managing those.
And that's awesome.
So thank you.
You're
Thank you.
very welcome. You're very welcome. It's my pleasure and my honor because with you we have become better.
Oh, good. I hope so.
Yeah, it's no there's
Hmm.
no one broadcast, one show, if anybody wants to call it that. There's no one thing that makes reggae
Hmm.
global.
Hmm.
It's
Hmm.
a collective. And so when we get to pull on each other's resources, when we get to work together on a project, and grow the collective, then we are so much better off. And
Absolutely.
and as you continue to share the music through photojournalism, through your broadcast,
Hmm.
I hope more and more people will start to connect. Could you go ahead and put your contact information out there where people can see your work, where the times that people can hear you on Reggae Global? Go ahead and put all the info out there, please.
Right this minute? I'm not sure I know how to do it right this
No,
minute.
just tell us. Just tell us.
Oh, okay. All right. So my show is on Sunday nights from 8 to 10 Eastern, 7 to 9 Central. It's called The Conscious Party, which I started way back when Ziggy first put that album out.
Mm-hmm.
And my Facebook page, they made me put my real name on it. So it's Beverly Sista Irie Shaw. Used to just be Sista Irie.
Yeah.
Beverly Sista Irie Shaw. And Instagram, I have a Sista Irie at Sista_Irie, and then at Sista_Irie_photography. If you want to just see the photography. And then Majesty Media is a big part of my life because Lloyd and I work very concertedly towards helping rising artists become better known, and we help them with their publicity. So Majesty Media is another opportunity to look at who we are. Online, we're majestymedia.net.
Yes.
And on Facebook, we're just Majesty Media
Okay.
on Facebook, and same with Instagram.
Awesome.
Or you just go to my Facebook page, Beverly Sista Irie Shaw, and you'll see everything there.
Awesome. And again, what time is your broadcast on a Sunday?
8 to 10 Eastern.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Now, ladies and gentlemen, you hear her talking about the conscious party. Believe me, it is a conscious party. This woman here, I don't know how much more conscious you can really get. And she has put in the work. We've heard snippets of some of the work that she has put in to get to where she is now, and is still growing. And as you grow, we are right there with you and
Awesome.
listening in,
That-
following
that's-
through.
That's all I need. That's the only fuel I need, is that there are people listening that enjoy it. And,
Oh, yes.
for me, it's all about love.
Yes.
I love everything about it. The audience, the musicians, the technology has been my hardest part, but and because of you and because of Marlon, I've created my own studio in the front room. It's been amazing. So thank you.
You're welcome once again. Sister Irie, you take
Yeah.
care. You have a great night. We're going to take a break on Reggae Global
Blessing.
Radio. We come back, we bounce through some music and enjoy the independence. Much love, Sister Irie.
Much love to you and to everybody out there. Thank you so much for making me a part of your life.
It's a pleasure. Take care.
Give thanks.
Ladies and gentlemen, Sister Irie. Boy, what a lady. What a lady. We're gonna say goodbye to those on Facebook Live. We're gonna say goodbye to those who are on Clubhouse. Come on over to Reggae Global Radio for the remainder of the broadcast. You can be interactive there. Hey Jan, how you doing? Come vibe out on Reggae Global Radio. In the background, the sound of Christina Alicia, one of the women in music today. You can check out Sista Irie's interaction with Christina Alicia.
Remember our power within.
This track is called Gold, and if you don't know by now, the women in the industry are nothing less. Real gold.
Time we find a voice.